extract the link. Copy it. There we go.
You can
Oh,
just
hi
share.
everybody. We are live now. I didn't realize I had gone live.
Hello.
I'm going to go back to not live for a second. And we'll be with Hi, everybody. This is Kevin Mullaney from the Improv Resource Center, and I'm here with some folks who have traveled all the way from India for the Chicago Improv Festival. They got here a few days ago. They performed last night. Please welcome Improv Comedy Bangalore.
Hey.
Hi, everyone.
You guys have been here for how many days now?
Roughly 4 days.
Yeah, roughly 4 days.
4 days now.
Mm-hmm. And can you guys tell me just a little bit about your group? Where in India are you from? How long have you been together? Where you perform or where you've trained, or I don't know, just what's the story of this group coming together and performing?
All right. So improv germinated.
Oh, and introduce yourselves. I'm sorry. I should start with introducing yourselves. I am the worst
So
TV
evil.
show.
That's
Why don't
okay.
we go to introduce ourselves first, and then we'll go into that.
Yeah, I am Rohit, and I've been doing improv for the past 3.5 years now, and I've been in Bangalore for 2 years, and since I moved to Bangalore, we've been doing a lot of improv. So it's the best kind of improv that I've been doing over there. So yeah, and these are the wonderful people I've met over there.
Hi, I'm Madhu. I'm from Bangalore. I grew up in Bangalore. I've been doing improv with ICB since for almost over a year and a half now. I do come from a background of theater, but I think improv has, I think, unleashed my creativity in a whole new way, and it is very exciting to be here in Chicago and celebrate our journey in improv this way.
And I'm Abhishek. I've been doing theater and improv in total for about 2 years now. It's very new to it, and excited to be here in Chicago, and being a part of this roundtable discussion with you, Kevin.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, so let's go back to that question. So, how did you find each other? How did this group get started? And what do you do in Bangalore?
Yeah. So improv in India, you can say that it started roughly in 2009, and ICM Improv Comedy Mumbai was the first group to have started all of this. So ICM is like the second city of India, and they have created a bunch of talented people who sort of propagate improv around the country. So there's another member of our group who was not able to come to for this trip. He is from Bombay, and he moved to Bangalore, and he was part of ICM, the Improv Comedy Mumbai. Then he moved to Bangalore, and then he started ICB, that's Improv Comedy Bangalore. And I was also performing with ICM. Then I subsequently moved to Bangalore. I got married and I moved to Bangalore, and then Nasir, the fourth member of the group, for him the opportunity was right to get everybody on board. He had already met Abhishek at one of the shows that he was performing at, and that's where he got all of us together. And it's been
July
a year
20.
and 8 months maybe since we started performing. And we met Madhu almost 6 months after we started the group. We were doing our first long form show,
Christmas musical special.
Exactly. And Madhu, since she has her theater background is just fascinating to just look at. When you have a look at it on paper, it's amazing, and you wanted her to be in the group. And that's where Madhu came on board, and she added a lot of value to the group.
Yeah.
And since then, it's been the four of us who formed the core team, and we have grown to 13 members now.
Yeah. So
you have 13 people.
13.
Yeah,
Oh,
13
right.
people. Yeah. So ICM started somewhere around 2009. 2009 is when they started, and we started in middle of July 2015. So it was 3 young, excited boys doing improv in a basement, in Nasir's basement.
That's how
and-
most improv groups start.
We call it the improv lab.
So that's how we started. I remember when we wrote to Madhu the first time, we were like bunch of excited people writing down to Madhu, and we're like, oh, we hope she comes. And we Nasir cleaned up his basement, and they were like, oh my god, yeah. then we are there, and we're
It didn't
jamming.
look very clean to me when I stepped in, but thanks for the effort.
It's a
Yeah.
bachelor pad. What do you expect?
So that happened there, and for me it was I was a mechanical engineer before all of this started. I was working with a company called TE Connectivity. Was working as a manufacturing engineer for 5 years, and I was looking for different things to do, exploring art as a way of release actually. And then I bought myself a violin, signed up for all those classes, and that remains discarded in somewhere in my house. And after that, I started doing playback theater with a group called Yours Truly in Ranagar, and they are all about an immersive experience in theater. So I started volunteering, started doing shows with them, learned theater. I actually went in there thinking I'd learn conventional theater. But after that, learned that there is an entire world of improv and spontaneous theater, and theater which is created by sharing stories and suggestions. Nasir and ICM, your story was hosting them when they were doing an entire crowdfunding trip to the US for Seattle. And they were doing their different improv shows there, and I was volunteering for that entire thing, for that entire show, and I was watching them and seeing them do some amazing improv. And Nasir connected after that. He said, I might be moving to Bangalore. We should be, if I do end up here, would you like to do this? And I was like, yeah, that would be awesome. And I don't hear from him for around 3 months after that. And 3 months later, I get a call and he says, I'm starting this ICB thing. Do you want to join? We have a show we want to do. Like, yeah, sure, why not? And yeah, it's been a fun ride post that.
Yeah. So, my meeting with ICB was really by chance, because till then and even now, the other hats that I wear is of a theatre-based facilitator. So I work a lot with organizations and corporations and teams and leadership groups on how using theatre as a way for us to learn and engage with each other and ourselves in a more authentic way. So there was that journey. I went to drama school in my young heydays, and so there was all of that happening. And I met Nasir when he was an audience at one of my storytelling performances. And someone introduced us, saying there's one guy in our office who does theater, and he does something called improv theater. And of course my ears pricked up, because I had already tasted a bit of improv, but I wasn't quite sure how to do it, because there was no jamming, there were really no groups for improv. So I went up to Nasir and I said, you do improv? And he's like, well, yeah, I used to do it in Bombay, but I don't do it here. So I said, cool, if you know a bunch of people who get together to jam, call me, because I like the idea of improv and what it can do. And that, I think, again, I didn't hear from him for almost 9 months. And then one day he's like, hey, we're doing this Christmas improv musical long form. I'd never heard of the word long form till then. I'm like, what's that? And he's like, do you think you can come? And I was like, cool, I want to do some improv. And if you have a bunch of people who do improv, well, yeah, maybe I'll just do this one show, and why not just quite quickly do it before the year ends, kind of a thing. But yeah,
So he roped you directly into an improv
straight
show.
I just went into a straight, actually, yeah, I was supposed to be rehearsing for a Christmas long form, but in between, 2 shows turned up, 2 short form shows, and they were like, anyway, we're rehearsing, do you think you want to just come and do the show as well? And I was like, yeah, really, you think I can go on stage for a show? And they're like, yeah, I think so. And I'm like, okay, let's just do this. And I think the first show, and then there was no looking back, because that's it. I was smitten by improv. I felt like I think with all 4 of us also, I think we were like these kids on the back lanes when we meet every week, and we're like, all right, what do we play today? So I think there was connecting with that spontaneity, a certain kind of innocence, exploration, and just having fun. I remember so many days when I'm getting into rehearsals, I feel like this, there couldn't have been a more shittier day in my life. And and even though how sucky the day may have been, at 11 p.m. in the night when I'm driving back home after rehearsals, I'm like, wow, I can just feel this. I can feel the blood in my veins moving, and I think, yeah, I feel very grateful for us for creating the space to keep us all together, and to just just explore limitlessly, I think.
Yeah. And the kind of response we got from the Bangalore audience also was quite. It's definitely played a part in us continuing what we are doing. I remember the first show. Rohit can speak more about it. You remember, like in July when we started in Just Stuffs?
Yeah. We went with absolutely no expectations, and what happened was we had got a 20-minute slot in one of the shows, and there was a stand-up gig right before us, and that didn't go so well. The audience members were getting roasted, and in India it's pretty nascent, the whole comedy scene, the stand-up comedy scene, where you're actually picking up on audience, and they didn't like it. So I had to go to the audience members, tell them, please wait. We have another show coming up. And
We're not going to be mean to you.
exactly. And that
We're
person
nice
just,
people.
gently pushes me away. Says, "You guys are doing shit." And I was like, "You haven't seen us do our shit yet." So, then we got on stage, and all I could remember is that man, laughing his head out, and he was so happy sitting there. So that was our first show, and it was just a 20-minute slot that we had, and we made the most of it. And since then was actually no looking back. We've just taken that conviction
Yeah.
throughout, and we've done close to 50 shows now in around a year and 8 months or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we take
Approximately.
improv steroids. Secret to our rich performance.
The next show we did was at the same venue at Just Us in Jakur, and we had a show of our own, and it was completely packed out, and it was packed out. It was brilliant, and they've been supporting our journey, inviting us over and letting us do shows every month over there.
Just
Beautiful,
us,
nice space. Our entire trip here has been because of the people back in India.
Yeah, I think what I want to add to this is also the support of Improv Comedy Mumbai. And I think that for me has been to witness support and love and sort of genuine investment in the larger community of the improv community. I don't know if I see that often in theater groups per se, where it's more, okay, we have to be the best group. That's your production, this is our production. I mean, I don't know, but I think in improv, I think that's what I was fascinated with. Like, for example, when we did our first long form, the Christmas musical form, we had senior improvisers from ICM who would come down, spend a day or two workshopping with us, and getting into the performance and sort of letting us hold the show and just sort of holding the sort of the scaffolding from the back for us. So always we find that there has been, even for the sort of a fundraising show that we did to come to Chicago, we had a whole team from ICM who flew down to Bangalore, and we did sort of a sporting and improv war kind of an event where we had this fun contest. And so I think that is the other most, I think, beautiful thing about the entire improv community, and the way it's beginning to sort of grow in Bangalore is that we're all on the same big ship. So, I think that's the other beautiful part.
Yeah, that's really great because oftentimes, in Chicago or in the U.S., I've heard so many stories and experienced it so many times of even just two groups in the same city, or there's only 2 or 3 groups in the same city, and they're all like really competitive with one another. And if you perform with them, you can't perform with us. That kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
So that's great that you guys are doing that. I want to get to this improvised Christmas musical show. So I wanted to, can you describe what this show is or how it worked?
Yeah, we can. Yeah, Rohit would be the best person.
So we I don't know. Nasir is he's a big fan of musicals in the first place, and he is a terrible singer.
I think
But,
that's what
It's not
propels
personal,
him.
Nasir,
Yeah.
if you're watching this.
but you suck. So that's okay. He's a sucker for music, and he basically came up with the idea. Let's do a musical, and said fine. And then what should be the theme? Let's do a Christmas musical. Because that's the only date we had.
The auditorium.
That's the only date we got the auditorium for in the first place.
Yeah.
And then we were still thinking of a theme as to what would the theme be about. And when we thought about Christmas, we thought about Love Actually, and all those.
The Grinch Who Stole Christmas.
And many more films, based on the whole theme of love and togetherness, and the whole Christmas spirit. So we thought, okay, let's do this. Let's bring all of these flavors on stage, and also put some music on top of it. Let's create some
Which are
impromptu.
also very favorite Indian themes. Indians love some romance,
Exactly.
some warm family time, falling in love, lots of music, drama, some dance numbers. So we thought there was a lot of possibilities and to play over here.
Of doing all of that. And we executed it. It
That's
was. Huh?
That's when Benson stepped in, right?
Yeah, Benson was he was part of the team initially, with the only musician we had, and he trained us throughout.
Spent a lot of time doing that.
For singing and music and musicality, all of that. He gave up in the end, but that's okay. We sort of managed. We did a good show. We did a good show.
It was a very good show.
Yeah, a good 40-minute long form.
Yeah.
It was a good 40 minutes, the whole thing.
So we played
So it
out
was-
in.
I think it was the first long form in Bangalore that we performed.
No, not really.
No, not
ICM
really.
has
ICM
done
has
one.
Okay,
done
it was
that.
not. Sorry.
ICM has done their
First
Bollywood.
long form performed by ICB. in
Yes.
Bangalore.
ICM did their Bollywood improv at yours truly. They had done their entire Bollywood format. So yeah, that's how both the shows played out. Bollywood is a lot about how an Indian movie genre. Okay, plays out. They take suggestions from the audience, and it's absolutely ridiculous stories which are created in that frame. And similarly, we did the Christmas musical, where it's all about, the theme was about love and sharing and caring, the spirit of Christmas. And then we have all these suggestions coming in, and we had a ridiculous amount of fun playing along with those.
It was definitely not the ideal Christmas story in the end. I remember the female lead goes out with an alcoholic. So yeah, that's how it ended.
I'm trying to recall.
Yeah, but yeah, he was a recovering alcoholic. He was working.
He had
on
his
it.
good points.
Yeah, and I think we played it out quite sensitively, because that was the first time I realized, oops, we may have things that come up, and we have to be really sensitive about how we deal with it, because we have audiences who are watching when themes like depression and alcoholism, these things come up. I think that's when I first realized that, oh, okay, I also have a responsibility as an improviser, and you have to I think I have to handle it sensitively, and one can in the flow of things not be conscious of that. And I think that will also come as we mature as improvisers over the years. But I think we do keep that into the back of our minds, that we really don't want to aim for quick, easy, racy kind of humor. Which is hard sometimes, because when we set up a show, an improv show, and we ask suggestions from audiences, and they really want, there are very standard bathroom and bedroom suggestions that come up first. So I think we feel that our other task as improvisers is to help audiences sort of expand their own imagination as well, and say, are there other suggestions that you can think of, and I think that's so we do something called Improv in the Park, which we do like once in 2 months or 3 months, which we run this workshop for about 2-3 hours on a Sunday afternoon, which is really an open invitation for anyone who wants to come and play improv games. And really our hope is to help new people connect with the idea of improv, because it's so nascent, and at the same time help them see what goes into an improv, so that we create sort of an audience also, that a culture of viewing improv in a certain way.
So the entire scene in India, Bangalore, is very nascent, the way it's growing up. So it's not only that we are performing improv, it's also we are spreading the culture. So there's a lot of community-based work that we also do. And I remember one of the persons who came for the improv at the park, just because of the entire process of being involved in, jamming using improv and everything. She spoke about how her confidence grew post the session, and she went on to do a few plays in her office, and then they went and did a national level play, and it was very heartwarming to see and experience and be a part of that.
Now, I imagine that a good portion of your audience, maybe most of your audience, has never seen improv before, or have only seen it a couple of times.
Exactly.
Can you talk a little bit about what that's like to because that doesn't happen as much in Chicago.
Yeah.
You know, we're
everyone
dealing
knows
with,
their improv.
yeah, and everyone in Chicago has seen terrible improv. So you have to sort of overcome this sort of sometimes you have to sort of overcome this bias of like, no, we're really good. I know you may have seen improv that hasn't been great before, but trust us. In fact, that's TJ and Dave. They say trust us. This is made up, but it's also a matter when they start, trust us. You're in good hands, So, what's that like performing for people who, like, it all seems completely like new to them, and maybe they don't. Do you get that same thing where people don't believe that you're actually doing it? You're actually improvising?
Yeah, we do get it, but the biggest challenge we face is that the whole comedy scene in India is actually booming now, but it's dominated by stand-up comedy. So you have like there's zillions of stand-up comedians out there, and everybody's posting their videos, and it goes viral, and people are loving it.
It's really good. The scene is also really good.
It is. So I'm saying that it's booming, but it's dominated by stand-up comedy. And in India, there are 6 to 7 groups, improv groups, that are performing it professionally. So the ratio over here right now.
Right. Also, given that India is is the second largest
Exactly.
country in the world by population. So.
Yeah. So the whole idea of improv, in order to educate people about it, like Madhu mentioned, we have to do things like improv at the park, and let them know about that this is what it is, this is what improv is, and then at the same time when we start a show, we tell them what improv is. We explain this is what improv is, and everything will be on the spot. You see a scene once, you won't see it again, and stuff like that. So we explain all of that to them initially. Yes, there have been times when they felt that, okay, was this scripted or was it not? But most of the time it's not the case. They don't feel it's scripted.
Yeah, they do enjoy it a lot. They do enjoy it a lot. Oftentimes there is
shows they know it's not scripted. Get that for sure. It's not scripted.
Yeah. Oftentimes I think it's just that it gets confused a lot with stand-up comedy. That's the biggest challenge we face.
Or people say,
yeah, they come in and say, you know what? Hey, that was a nice show and it was a great stand-up comedy show. And they're like, no, it's improv. So that's the biggest.
Say improv, no? Please come for my improv show. I'm doing improv. They'll be like, yeah. But this, I went for a stand-up comedy show and I don't like it. And I'm like, I know,
exactly
but come for this. This is different.
Yeah, so that's the biggest challenge we face there. And one thing I noticed different when we performed yesterday in Chicago is, like you said, everybody knows their improv here. So we spend about we do 1.5 hour shows usually.
30%?
We spend about 30% of our shows, like 20 to 25 minutes, just setting up the games and explaining the games, which we didn't have to do here. So it was that's another difference.
Yeah, and the other part is we are primarily doing short form as of now. Long form is yet to find its foothold. We need to get people acquainted with the kind of storytelling that can be introduced with long form as well. But at the same time, it has to be, if it's for the Indian audience, has to be a bit loud. It cannot be very subtle as well. So we need to see how we can sort of fuse both of these aspects of long and short together and create something more dynamic. So that's been a challenge, but long form is what we are looking at, in the future, to perform a bit more than short. That the way we are going about things right now.
Yeah, and we're hoping CIF helps us get there. All the experiences we are taking in here, the shows we are watching, the workshops which we'll be doing over the next week. We hope to take all of that, take this entire knowledge bank back to Bangalore, and
create
this entire culture and ideas and all of that. It's very exciting.
So it's interesting that the first long form you did was this
Christmas.
hooked into this other, these other things that people are familiar with, musicals and Bollywood and Christmas stories and so forth. I think that's a really good way to approach it. Do you have any stories about like someone who do you offer workshops as well regularly besides the one in the park, or do you? No, not so much.
Not really, because we've been doing it for like 1.5 years, and I think that's a common feeling we share across the group. That is that when we do a workshop, we want to do a workshop where people come in and they're like blown away with what the concept of improv is. So we really want to master at least certain aspects of the art before we start teaching it across. Is how I would.
So we have we've done like basic workshops that we are good at. We know how it works, stuff like that, which is just introductory. But yeah, I mean, we still have to get there
we don't offer any skill building workshops as yet. I think that
there's
needs
no
a little more time.
That needs a little bit more time.
Yeah, an intensive course and something like that. We still have to get there.
We
time, I guess.
We have done a bunch of workshops in corporates where we explore the idea of playing with improv, because that gives a pathway to how improv helps in team building, and how the entire idea of accepting an offer, handing it, how building over one another, that really helps in the kind of corporate environment that is built in Bangalore, especially because most of the industries there are IT industries, so people work in silos. So the entire idea of improv, of bringing people together, collaborating, sharing ideas, building on top of one another, that really helps. So we have done a bunch of workshops which are like that. But with respect to performances and improv, skill building, we will get there soon. But I think we need to get there ourselves first before we start that. Madhu does a few improv-based workshops.
I do individual works with organizations, but there I think the focus is really not on building improv skills, but really getting them to experience, engage with improv, and then sort of use the experience of improvising as a metaphor for working or life or any area where they're all engaging together. So not so much improv as skill building.
Do you have any, thinking back to the various people who've come to see shows and seen it for the first time, is there somebody who particularly sticks out in your mind who had a really profound or strange experience from watching it for the first time?
I do remember one of them. Her name is Vaishnavi. She came in for one of our shows, and she had watched Colin and Brad, who were there in India. Colin Mockley and Brad Sherwood, they had done their 2-man show, and she had very high expectations when she walked into her show. And they're like, okay, these guys are doing improv. I know improv and I want to see it. And she came in. Yes. And she came in, and then we did a good show. We were doing Improv Mayhem. It was a short form show. We were doing a bunch of games we had played, and Gavin was a part of that show. And we had a great show, and people are talking about the show, a lot of good reviews left. And then we see this one review on our website, our ticketing website, which says 3 stars. And we were like really concerned. We were like, wow, okay, that person didn't like really enjoy the show as much as the others did. So we got in touch with her, and then she was like, you know what, it was Colin and Brad and all of that. That's why I rated you. We're like, okay, yeah, that's fair enough, because these guys are insane, world-renowned improvisers. And then we had auditions for our group in the month of October, which was like 1 month after the show. And we were looking to expand our team, get more people in, apart from the 4 of us, which is when it expanded to the number it is now. And we see this one lady walk in for the auditions, and it was Vaishnavi. and she did get selected during the auditions. She's 18 years old and fantastic amount of talent.
Thanks
and
for declaring her age
Oh,
online.
I'm sorry.
I think it's fantastic that says a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then,
She's with us
that's
now.
what we did.
Yeah.
We recruited her and we asked her to change the rating right away.
No.
Game plan there.
Yeah, and then she started doing improv with
Recruited her
us.
into the improv army, eh?
Yeah, she started doing improv with us, started rehearsing with us, and then she was like, you know what, guys, this is something else. The she talks about how her perception on improv has changed, how it has helped her deal with life in general, and all the kids who have started improvising with us. So that's nice. Yeah, that's one thing which comes to my mind. Any which you have to share? I know Rohit has one bad experience of. Maybe you want to speak about that? I don't know if you call it profound, but yeah, it was something which helped us learn about ourselves a lot.
Yeah. Other than that, I mean, like Madhu had mentioned about the improv at the park that we do. So people just walk in and become part of it. People just wandering around in the park. They come and join. So there was this one particular lady who had done improv at the park. Shrirupa's friend, who.
Oh yes,
and,
that's another profound
she,
experience. Yeah.
She went back after the whole experience. She went back. She wrote to us that this has been an awesome experience for me, and after this I've tried more theater, and I'm just opening up a lot. So that's one of the most profound an experience where somebody has felt really great about what they've sort of accomplished at during the rehearsals. That's one good example that comes into my mind.
I think when I hear both of you talk, well, I can't pin it down to a particular person, but often I have had people who've come up and really sort of congratulated about how we put ourselves out there. They're like, I don't know if I could do it, but I really want to thank you for doing this, because I would not imagine putting myself out there with nothing on to sort of fall back on but each other, really.
Right.
And I think time and time I've heard that come back to me as a feedback, or just as a sharing. It's not even the feedback, it's just sharing that I just sat there and I watched you guys and I was like, wow, I would never put myself out there. Bangalore is a second largest city now in India. But Bangalore is actually a small little hamlet. Like, if you've lived in Bangalore for about 10 years, you'll start meeting the same people around the block. So I think when it comes from people, and therefore we do tend to get a little concerned about our images, how we're seen, and blah, 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 and all of that. When feedback, when people come and do sharing of this kind, I think it really stays to say that it's okay to make ourselves vulnerable and be seen as fools for a while. It's cool.
I've heard that a lot over the years. That same kind of feedback of like, oh, I could never do that. You're so brave, and I think reflexively, we often respond with, oh yes, you could do it, and it's something about the way you described it makes me think, well, maybe that's just good enough. I mean, that's enough. That's something in itself. Watching other people do something that they feel is brave.
We get people to pay us for it. Come on, we're gonna make asses of ourselves. Come.
So every person I know who's done improv in Chicago has some story of some show that they did, which was just maybe a disaster on some level. The one that comes to mind is a friend booked us at some bar in the suburbs of Chicago, and the stage was right in front of a pool table, like people playing billiards, and they did not shut down the pool table during the show.
Oh my
So there's people still all the way through the show. There's people playing pool,
We have some of those.
and it was awful experience. And I have a few of those. Do you have any
Yeah.
experiences like that? Let's tell us your improv horror stories.
Yeah.
Horror stories.
So we've done, in Mumbai, we've done a bunch of bar provs, and I remember one of these shows where we were all these level 1 kids trying to practice, or finding a playground to practice our stuff.
This was you, right? When you were doing it.
Yes. This was in one of these bars, and they would give us a small space to perform, and we were doing a show where the first game that we played was Story Die, where people, if you fumble during the game, the audience asks or tells you to die. They shout out die, and then you're out of the game. That's the whole the gist of the game. And in one of the scenes, when we were doing an open scene or something like that, we were stuck, and we were just gagging and making no sense at all. And the audience members, they started shouting die, and then there was one girl who was sitting right in the front. She was like, "You all should just die." And we just stopped the show. All right, ma'am, why don't you have your wine right there? And we just walk out of here. So yeah, we've had those bad shows.
Yeah.
I remember this one show at this very popular bar in Bangalore, and this is like the bar.
Without naming it.
Without naming it, yeah, copyright issues. And I don't think they've ever had an improv performance. And they had a live DJ night that was happening on top while we were performing. Everyone was clueless. There were no lights. And we had ordered for some food before we came in to eat before the show starts. The food never came. It was time for the show. So we start the show in these dim lights. And we literally had the waiter walk in with a whole tray of chicken wings and something to eat, everything. He's come up on stage while a scene is running, and he's like, "Your order is here." We're like, put it in. We'll have it after the show.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I'm gonna kill that.
We had one
We are
very recently.
performing. It's not a
Yeah.
rehearsal.
We had one very recently, and we were doing this thing for Women's Day awareness.
Oh boy.
And so the way it was
I don't
organized
know
was really bad. It was horrible. The way they had organized the entire thing.
It
just
was
took
actually,
us,
yeah. The organization was good. It was the marketing.
No,
which
the setup, everything
Yeah.
matters, right?
It was in a courtyard, in an office courtyard.
The way it was set up was just not conducive to improv, And you had people who were just there sitting to have their food, and they had set up a podium for us somewhere, very small.
It was in a
little,
corner of a
little
courtyard.
box, and
In the lunch hour.
we got up on stage and we were like, hey, we're gonna do some improv for you, and these guys are like, what? All right. And then we would go to people and, hey ma'am, sir, could you give us a suggestion for something you've done, something good you've done on the weekend, or something adventurous you've done? I'm thinking, please ask him. Maybe I'm eating.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
And they were like, trying to fix the other, put the other person in the spot. And they were just not even open to give suggestions. And then Nasir, who's part of the group, he was like, I will give you a suggestion.
So,
The
yeah.
show must go on.
Yeah. I guess it's a part of the entire journey as an artist.
No
Yeah.
complaints. No complaints at all.
All I guess it made us better performers, all of these.
And very wary of bar prov invitations.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe we'll
I
think
love
about
it.
it.
I love
Yeah.
that term bar prov.
Yeah.
Is a term you understand.
Yeah.
And understand why it's not fun. Do you have and what's maybe the story of a particular show or experience that that you've had where you felt like it's really, if you were going to remember just one thing from your improv experience, like what would be the thing you would take away with you?
Can I go? Because I have one right off the bat. For me, it's when we initially started. For me, it's a still which is etched in my head. It was when Rohit and Nasir were doing this entire scene where they were going fishing, and it's the first time I experienced something like a group mind. The suggestion was the scene was going on, and without communicating, without even looking at them, I knew what I needed to do in the scene. And they were fishing, and they were talking about how they're going to make this big catch. And it was all very fluid. It was like all of these pieces of a jigsaw coming on together. And it was not, the scene which I did was not very loud. I was not even present in the scene. It was just a small bit which I had to do. So I went in there as that big fish, or what I thought was a big fish, and they struggled, and then they pulled me on top, and I was just this one piece there, and they pulled me up, and they justified me as a dead body, because for me it was a big fish which they were pulling up. They justified me as a dead body, and the scene just exploded. And this exploded, and the way it went, and audience. No, I was not. It was the scene. It was the scene which was there, which was exploding, and the audience were having fun. These guys are playing, and it just felt nice to be a small part of that, which made it explode. And just that understanding. I knew that they needed me at that point of time. They knew, they were calling out, and it all happened so seamlessly. For me, that is the kind of improv I want to do, be a part of. I'm getting goosebumps thinking of it. That's the kind of improv I want to do. Be the kind of improviser I want to be. That's what, for me, it defines what we are as a group. So yeah, that definitely stands up for me as a moment.
Anybody else?
Yeah. So like I mentioned, the improv scene is the comedy scene is really booming, and a lot of comedians, and so you sometimes want to look up to a mentor for the right precedent, and follow somebody's path. So that's pretty hard over there to really catch up to. And and the kind of comedy shows sometimes that is aired on TV is I'm not even exaggerating when I'm saying it's sexist, populist, and they have a great definition of what is normal and what is not, and stuff like that. There was one show where this person came up on stage, and the game was a family dinner where we sort of enact all of these improvisers on stage, enact a scene out of
Recreate a scene of a family dinner.
Recreate an occasion from that person's life, and then the person just wanted to be funny on stage, so he just came up with some random names and identities, and one of them was he said that my gay boyfriend. Like, okay, you probably have a gay boyfriend, there's nothing wrong in that, but then he gave it a very derogatory name. That is where I lost it. I couldn't do the scene anymore, and I was supposed to be the gay boyfriend, and I don't have a problem playing gay. I mean, I don't see it to be an abnormal thing, but at the same time, just making it derogatory was something that sort of took me off my zone, and I exited the scene as soon as I could, because I just couldn't do it. I didn't have conviction. I went back home, and I wrote a big ass post saying that, hey, this is not good, this is not right, this is not what you're supposed to do, and you should call these guys out, tell them that it's not right, and times have changed, comedy has changed, should be more aware, be more responsible. But later on, what happened was one of our friends or mentors, you could say, somebody I really look up to. His name is Naveen Kaushik. Naveen, if you're watching. So Naveen messaged me. He said, this is what you're supposed to do. You should take whatever that person is giving. All right, the person is on stage, is vulnerable, wants to make himself or herself funny. So you take all of that, and if you don't feel right, if you want to make a point, maybe play with that. Put your point forth. I mean, let that objective come out. Don't if you don't believe in it, then at least bring it out over there. Show that this is probably not normal, but don't go back and call it out and say stuff about it. and this is going to happen because back there we still have to come in terms with multiple identities. We have to be okay with it. We as our upbringing has been such that we are hardwired with things that are supposed to be normal and abnormal, and we have a great there's so much distinction between all of these things.
I think it.
That aspect has really it's been there in my head since then, since that performance, and I'm wherever possible I'm trying to sort of add it here and there and see if that works or not.
Yeah, I think it's been a big learning. That incident was a big learning for us as a group also, where we took up all this, educated, at least for me, I educated myself more about these issues and being more sensitive to it. And just the general idea of, not running away because it makes you uncomfortable, but taking ownership and expressing the kind of things that you want to through that. That stereotype could, for example, in that case, we realized we could have held it as a mirror and actually roasted it, and then derived comedy from that, as opposed to
just not being part of it.
Just not being a part of it. So, Madhu, any experiences?
I think for me, I think when I'm listening to both of you talk, I think what stays for me really are those nights that we put into rehearsals when there's really no audience, and many times we're rehearsing but we don't have a show date really planned, and then why are we there and why are we doing this again and again and again, and we don't really have the luxury of a teacher or a director in that sense who sits from the outside and is of course now we're exploring how technology can help us do that, but I think in that, and therefore then using each other as teachers, really dipping into the collective wisdom, trusting, feeling frustrated together many nights and saying, God, we're not moving. It feels like we're not moving. 1.5 years just feels like when we fall, it's the same. How do we find that inspiration to come back and say, all right, we trust that today something will come, and if nothing comes, so be it. And that's also a part of the process. So I think of those nights when everyone comes from, and Bangalore has insane traffic. So actually for people to commit to be thrice a week at a physical place from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. in the night is a big deal. And it's a big deal everywhere. But in Bangalore, I feel it's a struggle. And then to bring yourself fully, to be present and available there completely. So I think that that sort of backstage story and that experience is something that is always sort of playing for me, and that for me is very, very important and significant.
Now the three of you are here for the rest of the week.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
And what you've already performed once. What do you have 2 more performances?
Yes, on Wednesday and Thursday.
Okay, can you
29th
tell?
and the 30th.
Do you know anything about those shows? The one is like all the international groups, right?
That's on Sunday. The indie groups which come together.
Okay.
I think
will be our 4th.
Yeah, that'll be our 4th actually.
All
if
right.
you
So
count that
what's
one.
the Wednesday show? And when's the show when you get to do like the show you do in Bangalore?
In Bangalore, we primarily do only short form.
Are you not doing short form here?
Yeah.
We are doing short
yeah,
form
yeah,
here. So
We don't have too much choice.
So yeah, on Monday.
I want to see your musical.
Christmas musical.
I want to see your Christmas musical.
And spring in
send
Chicago.
video.
So we have 3 slots. That's one which was yesterday, and then one on Wednesday and Thursday, between 7 to 8 on Wednesday.
I am so confused with the timing. It's
And
7
Thursday,
and 8. That's all
yeah,
I know.
and then Thursday I think it's 8 to 9, so we have 25-minute slots in each of these shows, and they're happening at the State 773. So anybody is watching and listening, yes, please come there. We'll be doing what we do in Bangalore. We'll be doing the short form games which we usually do.
And the games we played yesterday, we won't be playing tomorrow. And the
Yeah.
games we played tomorrow, we won't be playing day after tomorrow.
Yeah, and we're kind of talking
We
about
may
it today. Maybe
one
we
or
should
two.
also, having experienced the scene yesterday in Chicago, we were also thinking, you know what, our long forms, maybe we can actually showcase it here. So we might use that time to even do the long form. You'll find out if you come out for the show.
Thanks, Abhishek.
Great. And if people, if there's somebody watching from Bangalore who just came across this video, how can they find you if they want to come see your shows there?
In Bangalore?
Yeah.
You have a website or on Facebook?
we have a Facebook page. We're pretty responsive on that, so they can just drop in a message and we'll coordinate from there on.
Yeah, it's called Improv Comedy Bangalore.
Improv Comedy Bangalore.
And we also are on Twitter at the rate of IC Bangalore. Where else are we on? We have our own website. They can look it up there.
Yeah.
We have to give a shout out to all the people from Bangalore and everyone there.
Friends,
family, everyone.
Fantastic audience members.
Because the reason we are here in Chicago is because of them. We crowdfunded an entire trip here to Chicago. We called it ICB to Chicago. It's going with that hashtag. And the response has been absolutely fantastic.
It's crazy. It's so overwhelming. Here at Chicago, for example, this is just a small example that I'm giving you.
Yeah.
We were staying at my friend's place. He was at Buffalo Grove, and we haven't met in the past 10 years. And while we were in college, we were just, we had just that mutual respect. We just walk and hey, hi, that's it. That was it. Nothing else. And now he hosts us. He's doing everything. He's not letting us move. Nothing at all. He's like our mother. I'm not missing her at all,
Yeah.
So Amol, if you're watching this.
Yeah. And then we went to Uru Swati and
my friend's cousin. She said, why don't you guys come down? We'll host you. And my goodness, they gave us a year's supply of food, Indian food. Like, wow, take it, go take everything you want. And there's like so many rasgullas and gulab jamuns right there.
It's feeling like a home away from home. It's not only these people, but also the improvisers, the entire Chicago community, Jonathan, who's organizing the festival, you for having us here, and
Richard Scruggs
Richard
for
hosting us. It's been lovely. It's been just to experience all that love and just reinforcing everything
Big
that.
fat improviser hearts we've walked into, and we feel so blessed.
Yes.
A lot of gratitude.
Well, thank you so much for being here. This has been another roundtable discussion that we've been having this past week. This is the third one we've actually done. There's a couple from last week you can look up on YouTube if you're interested in seeing some of the local improvisers talk about improv and the Chicago Improv Festival. Hopefully we'll do one or two more as the week progresses. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe to us on YouTube or on Twitch. You can follow us on Facebook and Twitter as well. There'll be links in the final version of this video. There'll be links in the description of that. And what else do I want to say? Thank you so much for being a part of this. And I should plug my own things too. So I'm in the Chicago Improv Festival. I'm in two shows, Mullaney Chain, which is a show where I get guests to perform with me, and Rejected, improvised TED Talks. I'm doing those two shows this week, and a couple of workshops, which if you're interested in workshops that I'm doing, check the Improv Resource Center Facebook page. I'll be plugging those later today.
Yeah, and we are taking your workshops. So.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Which one are you taking?
I'll be there.
Madhu,
The Saturday work?
The Saturday
yeah, the
one.
Saturday
Oh,
one.
great.
Yeah. So we've actually, I think the workshops for the entire CIF festival are great. We wanted to gather as much knowledge and steal as much knowledge as possible. So
That's
we've
the way to do
divided.
it.
Yeah. So we've divided all the workshops
Much as
across us three. We'll be attending them all. And we'll be going and immersing ourselves even in the shows of the entire festival, catch a few even at the second city. So if people are watching and listening to this, you should too.
And I coach via Skype.
Ah,
You're gonna take a Skype.
We'll talk. We'll talk.
definitely.
We'll talk about that.
Coaching. Skype coaching in India.
That's true. I'll
Yeah.
be willing. I'd love to do that. We'd probably do a good time. Like I could do it in the morning. You guys be working the evening.
Yeah, no, we can work that out. Yeah,
I think the best
actually,
time is around
yeah,
what time we
8
do
to
when we
10.
do rehearsals.
That we
Actually,
might take that
interesting.
offline.
All right. Thanks so much for watching. And like I said, subscribe on YouTube. Subscribe on Twitch if you want to see more of these videos. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
bye bye.